All right. Getting all hot and bothered. Masks at school, possibility of fall sports being delayed, and violence in the city.
Oh, boy.
I couldn't sleep 2 nights ago. My son decided to go to LA Fitness at 9:30 at night. I'm like, no.
Yeah.
I'm scared. There's a gang war going on.
Yeah,
Especially
all
in
over the city.
Ashland. Oh, yeah, but we've got the Latin King Ashland North and Latin King Ashland South. They're always fighting. But with 10 rounds fired, at 8 o'clock at night last week. And then we had a carjacking on our street. Oh, yeah, a 22-year-old. They took her white BMW, and thank God they didn't pull the trigger. But enough about our neighborhood. There's other neighborhoods. Yeah, it's everywhere. In Lincoln Park, they had the party bus shooting where 6 men and 2 women were hurt. They ranged in ages from 23 to 52. They were on the bus. One person was pumping gas, and he got grazed by a bullet. And the sad, sickening part of this, the people on the party bus, the witnesses who saw it, will not cooperate with police.
Snitching.
Will not talk to police. So we have this new $1 million fund, set up for the snitch line.
Uh-huh.
I don't know how they're going to distribute the money. They don't know how they're going to distribute the money. And then now we have the strike force.
Oh, boy.
Are you familiar with the strike force?
I was on one in Illinois, a task force.
But what were you named? The strike force?
Illegal gun trafficking task force.
Well, our Attorney General Merrick Garland was here. He's from Chicago.
Yes, this is coming home. I'm originally from Chicago.
Really? I think you went to New Trier. The main streets of Wilmette. But he's here to, at a listening tour.
Yeah.
I deeply want to know what you know and what you can tell me that will help me do a better job as being Attorney General.
Oh, he sounds real assertive, right? He's talking like this, like, what am I supposed to do?
He was almost
Can't hope to solve this problem without some of both law enforcement as well as community intervention.
Didn't we already have this, though?
Yeah.
When when William Barr was here?
Yes.
More authoritative
Operation
voice.
Legend.
More authoritative voice, by the way.
Yeah.
Bill Barr.
Yes.
Than Merrick Garland, who's just,
yes.
But what am I doing here? What?
This is one part of it. We don't pretend this one part is going to be the be-all and end-all, but it's the whole package that we were hoping will reduce the risks here.
And Mayor Lightfoot, God help her.
That's your best friend, though.
Oh, yeah. She secretly loves me. She's letting people know the feds are here. And don't mess with her or the city of Chicago. We got to get these illegal guns off the street.
You're bringing guns into the city of Chicago. We're coming for you.
Yeah.
We're going to meet you at the border. We're going to lock you up, and you're going to be sent off to federal prison. That's a very effective message, and we've got to get that word out. That's what I think the strike forces will do for us.
With more on how to stop the violence in Chicago or have a suggestion, we have Zack Smith joining us. He's the legal fellow in the Meese Center for Legal and Judicial Studies at the Heritage Foundation. How to Stop Violence in Chicago. Zack Smith, what is the answer? And welcome to the program, by the way.
Well, thank you so much for having me on. Well, the answer, you don't have to be a rocket scientist to figure it out. You need to arrest the criminals, prosecute them, and get convictions. And unfortunately, what we're seeing by state and local authorities in Chicago, specifically Cook County State Attorney Kim Foxx, is that she's just unwilling and unable, frankly, to do her job, prosecute crimes, and get convictions for the crimes she does prosecute. And that, in part, is certainly why we're seeing such large spikes in crime, especially violent crime, in Chicago.
Yeah, but why is she doing this? Why is she no bail, low bonds? Why? What is the purpose of this? Is there a racial aspect to this? Because everything's about race.
Well, unfortunately, I think we have to put this in context. Kim Foxx is part of a larger national movement of so-called progressive prosecutors. I call them rogue prosecutors because they just refuse to do their jobs. But there's a group of prosecutors in big cities around the country that are basically funded by George Soros and George Soros-affiliated entities, and they have a radical view of the criminal justice system. They view it as being systemically racist, which I disagree with, and they say that the effective way to transform the system, to have transformative change in the community, is to rethink how they prosecute crimes. And so there's a whole swath of crimes that Kim Foxx will no longer prosecute. She's seeking very lenient bail conditions in many, many cases, even cases that involve serious matters like assault, battery, rape, robbery, assault on officers. And, again, unfortunately, I think the results speak for themselves, especially when you look at the crime statistics over the past several years and see, how violent crimes are surging in Chicago and the surrounding area.
Yeah. Hey, Zach, I'm a former police officer and a state legislator here in the state of Illinois. I saw a video clip of a police officer from Chicago PD responding to a domestic incident. The guy comes out with a gun. The cop turns around and walks away. I think. What are your thoughts about how the dynamics of the attacks on policing, the whole defund the police crowd? I think that has a bigger issue. I think that's a bigger issue than the whole let's go after the gun issues when it comes to how do we fix Chicago. What are your thoughts?
Right. No, you're absolutely on the right track. It's been devastating for police officers who have been really demonized and demoralized for much of the past year and a half or more. There's a professor out of the University of Utah, Paul Cassell. He's a former federal judge. He studies criminal law issues, policing issues extensively, and he did an excellent study recently and found that this what you're talking about is what he calls the Minneapolis effect, where police officers don't feel supported. They're worried that if something goes wrong, they'll be crucified in the court of public opinion, have these, progressive prosecutors, trying to find things to prosecute them for, even if they didn't act with criminal intent. And he talks about how this Minneapolis effect is really what's driving, in large part, these spikes in violent crime. And that the most effective way, especially in low-income communities where many minority members of the community live, the most effective way to combat violent crimes, to combat gun crimes, and all of the associated problems that come along with those is to empower police officers in those communities to do their jobs and engage in proactive policing. And so, I think you hit the nail on the head that unfortunately, until our police officers feel like they're getting supported, get the support that they need, things are likely to get worse, unfortunately, before they get better.
And, but there's shootings in broad daylight. Do you remember the 1-month-old who was shot? It was like 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
I know these all run together. But Tanya Smith is her mother, and they're leaving Chicago.
I'm getting up out of here today. I got to leave Chicago. I love the city, but I can't stay here anymore.
And I agree with her. If I could leave right now, my God.
I'm gone.
You're gone?
I'm in Joliet. I'm not in Chicago anymore.
How long did you live in Chicago?
I grew up here.
I know that's right.
Yeah, born and raised here.
Oh, that's right.
Had to get out of here.
Don't tell me about your family life. We don't want to get into it. We'll get into that later. Zach, you don't want to hear that story. But so what as citizens, what can we do? And how can we support our police?
Well, I think it's important, certainly vote at the ballot box is very important. Kim Foxx is getting literally millions of dollars from George Soros affiliated entities to run her campaign for state attorney. And that kind of money in state attorneys' races is really unprecedented in a lot of ways. So I think making clear that this conduct is unacceptable, making clear her refusal to prosecute many of these crimes, her encouragement to her prosecutors to seek lenient bail conditions, even for violent offenses. I think citizens have to stand up and say that's not okay, that's unacceptable. And, I think the more that pressure is put on local officials, state officials, by citizens, the more they fear losing their jobs, which I know is a tall order. But I think that is the most effective way to bring about change. If you look out in places like Los Angeles, like Fairfax County, Virginia, where recall efforts are underway for their rogue prosecutors there, there's certainly a lot of attention being brought to the issue, and that would be a great first step.
Yeah, and Zach, when you let out 4,000 offenders in our state penitentiaries, and I don't even know how many Cook County Jail let out.
No, it's statewide. 4,000 prisoners were released at the beginning of COVID because Governor Pritzker signed a state of emergency.
Right. So how many did Tom?
And he assigned that for the last 15 months, and 64 of those are charged with murder.
Right.
But they're supposed to be nonviolent offenders.
How many did Sheriff Dart let out, too?
Oh, he's
Cook County.
So 3,400 are on ankle monitors, and of those, 92 have been charged with first-degree murder.
There it is.
There is no city in the world that has people charged with first-degree murder out with ankle monitors.
Never.
Well, and if it's okay, let me highlight a couple of facts about that, because one of the things Kim Foxx has said is that you're able to effectively track individuals out on pre-release, on these ankle monitors. Well, here's the problem. When people break the ankle monitors off or don't comply with their conditions, they can be charged with felony escape. And if you look at Kim Foxx's record of charging individuals who break their bail conditions, break off the ankle monitor, or otherwise violate their terms, her office, as of last year, had dropped 455 of those cases. They refused to prosecute them. If you look at her predecessor and how many cases her predecessor had dropped, it was much, much lower. Something, I don't have the exact number in front of me, but something like 20 of those cases she had dropped. So it's insanity. And not only are these policies just bad ideas, they're dangerous, as we can see from the violent crime numbers coming out of Chicago right now.
And I don't know if you know what's going on in St. Louis. Did you hear about this?
100%. It's insanity.
Listen to you guys. Prosecutors just didn't show up. She was on maternity leave. So 3 people convicted of murder, the judge had to let them go because the prosecutor didn't show up. Yeah, Zach, can you explain further?
Yeah, so the prosecutor in the city of St. Louis is Kim Gardner, who's also another so-called progressive prosecutor backed by George Soros and other liberal billionaires. And is part of the same, and is part of the same group of prosecutors being backed by George Soros. But look, this isn't just African-American prosecutors or women prosecutors. George Soros is also backing Larry Krasner in Philadelphia. He's backing George Gascon out in Los Angeles. And in all of these places, you're seeing spikes in violent crime. You're seeing what I consider prosecutorial malpractice, with things that Kim Foxx is doing. Kimberly Gardner in St. Louis. Not only did prosecutors from Kimberly Gardner's office in St. Louis not show up and have these murder charges dismissed. I don't know if you both remember the McCloskeys.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah.
So Kimberly Gardner initiated prosecutions against the McCloskeys for standing in front of their homes with the guns. Multiple levels of Missouri courts looked at that issue and said that Kim Gardner had to be removed from the case because she was exhibited undue bias because immediately after she initiated prosecution, she sent fundraising emails touting the prosecution and how important it was to prosecute people like the McCloskeys. So look, bottom line, these rogue prosecutors, they're dangerous. They have bad policy ideas that make their communities less safe. And so I think it's very important for people wherever these rogue prosecutors are in power, Philadelphia, Chicago, St. Louis, Los Angeles, just to name a few, to stand up, make their views known, not only to those rogue prosecutors, but to other elected officials, especially people in the state legislature who often control the budgets for these offices, and let them know that this is just not appropriate behavior because it flouts the rule of law. It makes communities less safe.
All right, we're going to have to leave it there, Zack Smith. Thank you so much for joining us, and we really appreciate your insight.
Yeah, thank you.
Of course. Thank you so much for having me on. Take care.
You too. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
Before you see it on TV, share it on Facebook, or read about it in the paper, hear it here first. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
The Lou Dobbs Financial Report is brought to you by Signature Bank, helping local businesses succeed. Visit signaturebank.bank for your commercial banking needs.
I'm Lou Dobbs. Unilever planning to accelerate price increases. Amazon wants landlords to give its drivers access to locked apartment buildings. Those stories next. I'm Lou Dobbs, and as you know, my friend Mike Lindell has a passion to help everyone get the best sleep of your life. He didn't stop by simply creating the best pillow. Mike created the new Giza Dream bed sheets. They look and feel great, which means an even better night's sleep.